Hello and welcome back. We're going to continue to work in Unit 4, our Paint 1-Point Perspective Room project. Today's lesson is the 4.6 lesson where we are going to finish working on our details. In 4.5, we worked on crown molding, baseboard, and flooring. And here in 4.6, we're going to continue that work on the outside or perimeter of our project by focusing in on our ceiling. So we're going to do that today. We're going to go ahead and get started by opening up our file into our program. We're going to draw the elements that we need for our ceiling. We're going to erase and clean up our drawing. We'll then save our project, take a screenshot, and submit that screenshot. So let's go ahead and get started with this. I'm going to get out to my desktop. Okay, and first thing we're going to do is open up that file. So I suggest that you go to your File Explorer. You're going to, over on the right-hand side, go into Documents, find your digital art folder. In there, you're going to find your 1-Point Perspective Room folder. And in there, you should find your 1-Point Perspective Room project. So I'm going to open that up. Okay, fabulous. So this is where we left off the last time. What we're going to do here today to get us started is we're going to work on creating a tile ceiling. And so we're going to start with our line tool. We're going to always make sure we select that tool. We check that it is on the solid outline. And then we're going to check that that solid outline is 1 pixel wide. We want to have nice detailed drawings here, so 1 pixel wide. All right, and the first thing that we want to do for our tile ceiling is we want to make sure that we're drawing our lines as consistently and evenly across our page as possible. For this project, we're going to do this by eye. So we're going to start at our vanishing point, and we're going to draw out. Well, it might make sense to go from the middle. We're going to start in the middle, so we'll click there. And then we're going to go from our vanishing point. Let's divide this next section in half. So we're going to imagine if that was approximately half the distance there. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay. And after we do that, we're going to grab the vanishing point and put one more tile row in between each of these lines. So again, we are dividing up that ceiling space. Okay. Last line there. So I click and drag and draw that line from the vanishing point up to the top of the ceiling. At this point with this drawing, I'm going to go ahead. I notice I missed a pixel over here, so let me undo, and just put that one back in. Go out beyond it in the gray area just so that you're sure that it's touching the edge. I'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, so I've divided up the space in my ceiling. I'm going to zoom in and clean up. So I grab my magnifying glass or use my slider down here at the bottom, grab my eraser tool, and I'm going to use it kind of like a stamper, and I'm going to get close to those lines, stamp each one of these sections. Oops, if I make a mistake, Control Z is my keyboard shortcut for undo. And I'm being very careful as I do this. Don't want that line in that crown molding, so I'm taking that out. And then I can kind of be a little more aggressive once I have that edge. And I'm going to erase these lines traveling back to the vanishing point as well. All the way down. Remember not to erase that vanishing point because it is super important. And I erased too much there because I wasn't paying attention. Let's go back, put that back in, erase inside the crown molding and beneath the crown molding, and get rid of the lines traveling to the vanishing point. That looks better now. So try not to clean that up, and if you make a mistake, try to catch it quick so you don't have to undo as many steps as I just had to do there. Okay, and that one. Slide over here to the right side of my composition, and I'm going to do the same thing, just clean up these areas here. If you make a mistake, Control Z, and then just be careful. Traveling back. Okay, so at this point, I've cleaned up anything I don't need in my drawing. Let me zoom back out. And so you could see that I have long boards or just a rectangular division of space up in my ceiling. Anything like that is perfectly fine, whatever you want. If you could leave it like that if you wanted to. But the whole point of this was to show you how to draw tiles. So what I'm going to do now is a little bit different. I'm going to go to my layers palette and I'm going to add in a layer. This is a very temporary line that we're going to draw. So most of our drawing here is on this very first layer. We're going to go to our new layer. I'm going to grab a line tool. I am on this new layer going to draw this line in blue. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in the top corner, right corner of my back wall, and I'm going to draw across to the top left corner of my composition. And you're like, why is that going on? Okay, that's my blue guideline. We're going to get rid of that in just a minute. I'm going to go back to my original drawing layer and I'm going to turn my color black back to black. All right, now I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see this. Where this blue line intersects at this very first line, I am going to start at that intersection and I'm going to draw all the way to the right. I'm sorry, to the left. Now I'm a little bit high, so I'm going to use my arrow keys to line that up perfectly. When I'm happy with where it's positioned, I'm going to release my mouse. And then I'm going to do the same thing moving to the right. Now I want to be careful not to go into the crown molding, just to that edge. I'm going to make sure that's lined up. And I'm using those arrow keys to line that up. So now I have my first set of divisions or tiles on that wall or on the ceiling. I'm going to come up to the next intersection where that blue line hits, the next diagonal. I'm going to start there. I'm going to draw over to the left-hand side holding that shift button. When it hits the crown molding, I'm going to release and click off the line to set it. I'm going to click on that intersection again, draw to the right. When it hits that line, I'm going to release with my mouse and set that line. And I'm going to do this at every one of these intersections where that blue line is. You're like, well, why the blue line? The blue line helps us to determine how wide each of these tiles should be, because each one of these tiles is going to get smaller as it gets closer to the vanishing point and will be larger the further away from that vanishing point it goes. So I'm just carefully going in and adding in all of these perfectly horizontal, hold that shift button, lines for the tile ceiling. I'll zoom out a little bit. And this is where you're going to start to notice that those tiles really do start to get bigger as they move further away from that vanishing point. And unfortunately, I can't see everything, so I need to slide, and then I'll just adjust that line in that situation. There we go. All right, I got one more. And I'm going to go here to hold that shift button. See, to the left first. Once you pick up that line, the shift button no longer works to make it straight anymore. And unfortunately, I've got to go to the right and I can't see the intersection and the right side. So I'll do the same thing. I'll just go as far as I can, hold that shift button. Looks like I'm about a pixel high, 2 pixels high. So I have that in position there. I'm going to stretch it over a little further to the right, and I'm going to pay attention. I want it to be perfectly straight, and that can be challenging. And touch the edge. Right there, I'll release my mouse and release my line. Let me go ahead and zoom out. And now you can see I have a nice tile ceiling. And you're like, yeah, but you have this weird blue line. Well, guess what? That was drawn on this other layer here. And so I can just delete that layer and that line goes away and I don't have as much cleanup to do. This line here does look thick for some reason. So I'm going to zoom in and nope, they're all consistent. It's just the way it looks on my computer. So they are all 1 pixel wide at this point. Looks pretty good. All right, now that we have our tile ceiling done, What we're going to do here today is we're going to make sure that we save our project. So I'm going to go File, Save, or you can hit the Save icon at the top of the screen. And then I'm going to take a screenshot for the day. So let me hit Windows Shift S for my keyboard shortcut. Let me draw a box around the entire thing. And that screenshot will open here in my snipping tool. I'm going to hit Save, and I'm going to give that screenshot a title. So this was lesson what? 4.06. So 4.06, and I'm just going to write ceiling. And I will then put this picture in my documents in my digital art folder, 1 Point Perspective Room, and in there I should have a screenshot folder. I'm sorry, it's right here, screenshots, and looks good, and I'm gonna hit save. So now I have that screenshot that I can turn into my progress sketchbook. If you have any concerns or questions about this step of the project, please reach out and let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the process.